everybody, we are here in the back office with Percy this morning. Good morning, Percy. Hello. We just got Percy out of his tank, so he's still a little wet and shy, but he'll liven up as we chat with you guys today. Good morning, everyone. Please let me know where you're from, what your name is, and I'll give you a little shout out. I'm working on a little project this morning. I went out and foraged with Henry for some pretty leaves and things that I thought would be fun to make into a craft this morning. So for any of you guys that have kids at home or are looking to have a kind of nice meditative and educational craft to do, we're going to be making mandalas today, but out of natural items that we find. So I have started mine, and I'll show you guys that. But let me know where you're from and what your name is, and I'll give you a shout out. Hi, Dad. Good morning. So this is what I've started making. Good morning, David. Hello. Mandalas are something that you will see a lot if you do any like coloring books or anything like that, but they're a great way to meditate. They're used, they're from Hindu and Buddhist spiritualism, and they just represent the universe and harmony and, balance. They're all about symmetry. Good morning, Dawn from Nottingham. So I like to use these, mandalas to help to teach kids about leaves and leaf identification, because that is primarily what I've used for our mandalas. So throughout the process of hunting for the leaves, you can ask kids to help you identify them. There are all sorts of tools you can use to identify them, so introducing kids to the different types of tools you would use to identify a tree or a plant is a really great way to incorporate that into this craft. So we love, being able to just teach kids about trees and about everything that we have around here that's so beautiful. So I'll just say a quick good morning to all of you guys. So good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Cher. Good morning, Susan. Hello. So I'll flip this over, the camera over, so you guys can see what I've actually made. And I still have a little bit of work to do. I'm still working on it. But basically we have a variety of things that we have in our woods here. I know it's a little big. So I got a bunch of different things to go. And you can, if you are doing this with your children and wanted to tape it down or glue it down so that you can preserve it, you absolutely can. After we're done with this, I'm probably going to give a lot of this to Henry. So, so we are going to just, if you were building this, you would identify with, with each leaf that you put down where it's from. So I went out this morning with Henry. The two of us went to look for some nice specimens, so I can just go through what we have. This is a great way to teach general leaf shapes to kids. So we have some little tiny baby red maple leaves. So you can, just show the star shape, the hand shape to our maple leaves. Excuse me. Hello. Good morning, Theo. Hello from Quebec. We also have some, this is black birch. You'll see this a lot, especially in an understory. So knowing your birches, they're going to have these like serrated edges to their leaves. Where are you going? I know. I was lucky enough to come across some wild geranium. So that's what this is in the middle. Sticky geranium is what it's called. And then we also have the leaves from that plant on here. There you go. We have our geranium leaves, which are really soft, and you'll often see a lot of these growing along the ground in kind of a ground covering pattern, but then these little flowers will happen every once in a while. Hello. So this is Percy. Percy is our Hi. Hi, baby. He is our spotted turtle ambassador. He's been with us for about a year and a half now. He was taken from the wild by a probably well-meaning person, but he was basically turned into a pet and doesn't really understand how to be a wild turtle anymore. So he lives with us. He's a very sweet boy. Yes, you are. Hello. But he loves exploring and walking around outside, so we can also, he would have, you know, very much enjoyed searching for all of these things. So I have our wild geranium just kind of set up around. These leaves are really usually very numerous, so we have that as kind of a key feature. The other great thing about mandalas is that they're a great way to teach kids about symmetry and about or especially like orbital symmetry. So if you have kids working on that in school, but they are, I'm gonna have to hold you, buddy. They are a really good way of just teaching tree identification or plant identification. So we also have some, I was really excited about the hemlock that we have in our area. Hemlock, people think hemlock is poisonous or bad, but it's actually just a, thank you, you destroyed it. They're just a conifer that is in our area. They're actually a really important source of food and shelter for many, many species that live around here. Hemlock, the plant from Europe, is poisonous, but hemlock, the tree in our area, is very important for many, many species. So right now the hemlock is growing. It's putting out shoots, and so you can see the pale green of the tips of all those shoots compared to the dark green on the old growth. So so I was really excited to get some of that because it is really bright and beautiful. We also have some buttercups. Those were just really pretty. I wanted to grab those. We have some black raspberry leaves. A lot of people will mistakenly identify, this is my pile of things that I've brought in. A lot of people will mistakenly identify raspberry or black, you know, any sort of raspberry plant. They'll misidentify as poison ivy, but it is actually just raspberry. Poison ivy typically has more of like a thumb leaf, hi, and will turn red in the fall, but not always. It's not always red. So yeah, so this is our little mandala that we have working here, and I can certainly take any questions that you guys have about Percy. Hi, baby. Are you admiring the mandala? He's like, I just want to walk through the mandala. How about that? Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Chuck. Hello. So, so Percy here is a spotted turtle, and these guys are really fascinating. They're one of the 7 different species of turtles that we have in Maine, but they actually they are considered to be threatened in Maine. So they are very, very special. Okay, you're so funny. He just wants to truck around. He's like, usually we do walks when we do this, lady. Hi, you're so cute. So they are pretty rare to see. You probably wouldn't see one unless you were pretty lucky. Hi, baby. You found my discard pile. I know. So we are really lucky to have him. Where are you going? He's a very good boy. He's just excited this morning. Let's see. I got some other things to put on my mandala. You can also use it as a way to identify cones. Percy. So these are, you'll see a lot of these, especially in the spring. By now they are pretty much gone except for these ones that are closed up. If they're open, they usually get eaten by squirrels pretty fast. But these are tiny little hemlock cones. So hemlocks are a conifer, and a lot of conifers, they'll put out cones as their seed producers, but these are the tiny little baby ones that hemlocks make. And they're very, very sweet and cute when they're open. So I got some of those to put on here too. Percy, in the wild, he might live, you know, maybe up to 5 years in the wild, but then in captivity they can live up to 20 to 30 years. So we're hoping to have Percy for a long, long time. He's a good boy. Yeah. And spotted turtles are usually kind of like a bog dwelling turtle. They usually like to live in a more like stagnant water, marshy sort of setup. They're not necessarily going to live in like fast running water, but they will live in a watery area. He's just out. He says, I'm out of here. We might have to take him on a little walk once we're done with this mandala. We'll take him outside so he can run around. And the thing about mandalas is just keeping them symmetrical. They don't have to be perfect, but keeping them like relatively symmetrical. So I've kind of got a 5-point symmetry thing going on here, but you also kind of want to change it up a little bit depending on the leaves that you have to work with. Good morning. Hello. And then I also got some other things from out there. I got some clover. We actually have been using a lot of clover at the center. So this 3-leaf clover is famous. I think this is a great way for kids to start the identification processes with things that they're familiar with. So clover and the flower of clover are really easy to identify. I know the purple ones, I remember in Waldorf school we would take the little flowers off, and there's like clover honey, and there's a lot of really good nectar in there, so we used to eat that. That was fun. But clover is edible. We feed it to a lot of bunnies here at the center, so they, you know, we're constantly outside picking clover, picking grass, picking dandelions. Dandelion is the one thing I didn't grab for this because they need it in the clinic, but dandelion greens are also edible. So a lot of these things are very, very important food sources for a lot of our wild friends. There we go. So we can wrap up with this mandala segment. I just think it's a really fun activity for kids to learn their leaf shapes. It's something I love to do. It's a great meditative strategy. So I also found some little baby oak leaves right here. So teaching kids like the basic oak shape is another great one. And then we have some fern here that I didn't get a chance to put on. We have some fern. Yeah, but this is our mandala, and then we can take Percy outside on a little walk and answer any questions you guys have about him. He is a very sweet boy. So I'm just gonna head. Oh. I'm just gonna head outside. Hello. Hi, Percy. So we're gonna go take Mr. Percy for a little walk because he is very excited to be out and about today. And for the most part, all of the things that I grabbed for the mandala were all native, but we do have some non-native or invasive plant species here, so you can also use those as about invasive species, which is really cool. Let's see. Percy, now you don't want to walk around? Yeah? Hi. Chuck, I'm not sure if buttercup is poisonous. That's very interesting. That bright yellow would be a good warning color. Good morning, Rob. Hello. Good morning, Penelope. Good morning, Michelle. Hello. Percy would normally live underwater during the winter. So he would go under the water in like a marsh or a bog, and he would stay there for pretty much the entire winter. And turtles are amazing. They don't really have to come up for any reason during that time. Their metabolism slows down so much, and they're using anaerobic respiration to keep their bodies. They're really incredible in that they don't really have to come up to breathe at all during the winter. Hi, Percy, where are you going? He says, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Good morning, Percy. Hi. Good morning. So if you guys have any other questions about Percy, I'm happy to answer them. Hi. No. We love educating about these guys. So he is obviously content to come out and walk around, and it's great exercise for him. Hi, Percy. So the spots that our spotted turtles have are a really important source of camouflage for them. And they've done a lot of interesting studies on those spots. So they've found that, for example, females tend to have more spots than males. Turtles tend to have more spots on the left side of their body than the right. But what we definitely know for sure is that all of the configuration of spots that our spotted turtles have are unique to each individual spotted turtle. So it's kind of like a fingerprint. And they do refer to those patterns made by the spots as constellations. They call them constellations because they kind of look like stars. And that is why we named him Perseus, because he looks like a little constellation after the Perseids. And we call him Percy for short. But the spots are definitely great camouflage. So when they're in the water, in a marsh or a bog where the water isn't necessarily still, it's like being broken up by branches and leaves and things, they'll blend into that sort of place. Hi! He's very excited and he's on the move. So these guys are threatened in Maine by mostly habitat development, as their habitat is developed and turned into buildings or filled in. In the case of a lot of marshes, they get filled in to allow for buildings. So their habitat is definitely becoming fragmented and scarce, and that will cause these guys to be a species that is considered special, concerned, or threatened. So habitat destruction and loss is probably the biggest reason that a lot of our animals in southern Maine are having a hard time. It's one of the biggest reasons we see animals coming into the center, like, you know, babies that are in a tree that gets cut down or displaced for some reason. So, hello. You're off. Where are you going? Says, I don't know. These guys love to explore. They do move quite a bit in the wild. They'll travel quite a ways. They can have habitats that are like up to a few acres, but for them that's quite a long distance. Hi. Percy says I'm on the go. Yeah, so they can travel quite a bit in their habitats, and what's crazy is they don't get much bigger than this. So I remember when we got him, he was young. He was maybe like a year old, and we were like, okay, so he's probably, you know, he's gonna keep growing. But then we looked into spotted turtles more, and we realized, nope, this is just how big they are. They are diminutive, tiny little turtles, but they are so, so sweet. So this is really as big as he's gonna get, even though he's only a few years old. He's pretty much full grown. Hi! The other thing that creates problems for a lot of turtle species that are endangered is that they usually have to reach a pretty high age. They have to make it to sexual maturity, and that can happen at anywhere from like 5 to 10 years old. And some turtle species it's like 14, 15. So they have to make it a long, long time through the most vulnerable time in their lives when they're really tiny to get to have their babies. So what do you think? Hi! Yeah, Percy in the sky with diamonds, Michelle, that's so funny. I know, he does have very cute eyes. Bertram, don't scare Percy. Bertram, our raven, is, as always, yelling for his breakfast. Where are we going? What a good boy! And you can see how we got the phrase turtleneck, right? You guys can see that thing on his neck. Hi! He has that little sleeve that he can tuck his head into of loose skin. That's where we get the phrase turtleneck. Yeah! So yes, Percy, hello and thanks for joining us. Percy is a permanent resident of the Center for Wildlife. He is one of our ambassador animals. Somebody took him out of the wild as a young turtle and kept him as a pet. So now he cannot go back out into the wild because he doesn't really have the right instincts to be released. He also, we're not completely sure of where he originally came from. We do know that he was unfortunately from Connecticut, so he is a long way from home. We don't really know originally where he was from, so he's gonna stay with us. Hi, buddy. But they have the cutest little snouts, I think. They have this like blunt little pushed in pug nose. It's just very cute. And it is a beak technically, because these guys have beaks like birds. It's another crossover from their common ancestors. Hi, what do you think? He says, oh my god, this is so much work. Percy likes to eat a lot of different things. So in the wild, these guys are actually really great hunters. Percy loves to catch like live bugs and worms and things. They're actually mostly eating insects in the wild, insects that would live in the marshes or bogs that they're known to live in. They are very fast, and they have great webbing to help them swim as fast as possible to catch those insects. They will also eat, rotting material, so carrion, dead things that they find, and then they will also eat some vegetation and vegetables and things like that, but they love their protein. We have a hard time getting Percy to eat anything that's not protein. He's like, who, me? So they really do love things like worms and insects and things. We give him a variety of protein sources. So we'll give him fish, we'll give him mealworms, we'll give him bloodworms and plankton. Crickets are fun. You're so cute. If we have like tadpoles or larvae in any of the ponds, we'll give those to him. Hi. Hello, like little tiny guys. But he also is on a little bit of a diet. Something that we see a lot with just captive animals in general is that they don't need a lot of food because they're not burning as many calories doing their thing out in the wild. So when Percy came to us, he was a little chubby, and he's been on a diet since he's been with us. And he's not as chubby now, but he's still, got a little bit of a ways to go. So, hi. So we try to limit how much he gets, but he still really loves his protein and his fatty insects. In fact, the other day he was looking a little bored in his enclosure, and we, to enrich him, gave him some live prey. So that's something that it's hard to know to do with a lot of captive turtles, but many of them are actually very good hunters, and to provide them with enough mental stimulation, oftentimes you have to let them kill things like insects or worms. How do you tell if a turtle is chubby? That's a really, really good question, and something that I definitely had to learn when I started working with turtles. So turtles have these little pockets where their legs go into their shell, and they will build up fat around there. So if you see, Percy, you're not making life easy. He's like, well, you're body shaming me. So if you see when he moves his leg back, he has some little pockets of fat right there. So that's just the way that we tell. You can also tell by touching right next to his tail, his little bum. That'll feel a little cushy. So he just has fat stores located on his body in places you can kind of see that. So we just monitor those and see how they're doing. And we also weigh him. So he does get weighed, and if if his weight goes up or down, we change his diet accordingly. Chuck, he is most likely just exploring. He'll do this all day if we let him. I don't know if he's necessarily trying to get to any particular destination. Turtles tend to move a lot with temperature, so it could be that he's looking for a cooler or warmer spot. These guys do prefer it to be a little bit cooler than other turtles, so but but he is most likely just exploring. He loves to go on his walkabouts. Bye, bud. So if anyone has any questions about Percy, I'm happy to answer them. And if not, we can let Percy go back inside. He's having a really good time though, so we're content to answer all of your questions. And as always, there is a donate button on all of our videos. Thank you guys so much for supporting our work through donations. We really appreciate it. Where are you going, buddy? Yeah, what do you think? He's like, this is the best. Oh my God. Hi. Oh, says goodbye forever. So in the wild, Dad, the predators of these guys are mostly things like raccoons and foxes and things that would like eat something about this big. Their shell is very good, but it's not as good as obviously a box turtle who can like completely protect themselves, but it's pretty good. They usually will be reliant on getting away from predators by swimming away in water though, so they're going to use their speed to help them out. Does he have any other turtle friends? He does not. We actually got him from a turtle rescuer, and he had been with some other turtles for a little bit, some other spotted turtles, and he was kind of bullying them a little bit. So if we did get another spotted turtle, which is unlikely because they are so rare, we could try them out together, but he's kind of proven that he's a little bit territorial. And they wouldn't necessarily be social in the wild. They would normally just live on their own and then come together for like mating season, but they're not very social. So he doesn't necessarily need a buddy, but if we had the opportunity, we could try it out. But he was kind of kicked out of his last home for being a bully. So so we could always try it, but the likelihood that we will find a spotted turtle that needs a permanent home is unlikely. Unless we went out looking for one from another organization, because they are so rare. Yes, they are. Hello. Yes, I know. You're so cute. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys all tomorrow. We'll be talking about Artemis and her enclosure and how the setup works, and we'll obviously be hanging out with her. But definitely tune in tomorrow for more friends. And we will see you all later. Thank you guys so much.